Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time, talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Loving Beyond the I Do podcast.
With your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie.
That is me.
Hey, babes.
All right. So, Jason, this is another week,
Yes,
another
it is.
month, another day, another hour. What are we talking about today?
Foundation, baby. We're talking about solid foundations in a marriage.
What do you call them?
I call them foundations.
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 All right. He always get funny words for everything. So
So you got to have a solid foundation.
So what do we mean by that? People always say, oh, you have to have a solid foundation. You have to have a solid foundation.
Right. You do. You have to have a solid foundation.
Okay. So what does that mean?
So normally they say, well, you can only have a successful marriage if you have a solid foundation. But before you get together, you have to get your foundation together.
So that means that the foundation before marriage has to be strong.
Right.
Before the foundation with marriage can be strong.
There you go.
So you are, have you ever heard the saying, we are just as strong as our weakest link?
That's right.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's the same thing. You are just as strong in marriage as your weakest link as a single person, which means that if you come into the marriage weak, if you don't have a firm, solid foundation of who you are, what you stand for, what you represent, what your morals, your standards, your ideas, your vision, if you don't come into a marriage with that,
Right.
then that leaves a space for shaky ground.
Shaky ground. So,
So when the storms come,
the house blows over.
the house or
Living in a house of straws.
who is it? It's the big bad wolf. I'm a huff and I'm a puff and I'm gonna blow your house down.
He said, I'm gonna huff and I'm gonna puff. Where'd you go? You just blow away without him even blowing on you.
And so what exactly does that mean? That means that
You need to get your stuff together before you get together.
pretty much.
Right.
To sum it up, pretty
Right.
much. So that means that if I am not loving myself,
Mm-hmm.
if I haven't done the self-development into what makes me the best version of myself,
Mm-hmm.
if I haven't taken the time to readjust, reevaluate, and realize what went wrong in my previous marriage, not marriages, well, some marriages,
Okay.
what
Marriage
went
or
wrong-
in previous relationships.
relationships,
Right.
what went wrong in my past, what is wrong in my thinking, what is wrong, and what am I doing, what part did I play
Mm-hmm.
in the relationship that didn't work before. If I'm not taking that time to find out who I am and what part I played and how do I correct so that I don't repeat those issues when I get married, then that just leaves a big gap into what can happen in a relationship, right?
Right.
So, and one of the benefits is that some people do the work. And
Yeah.
so if they get married
Well,
a second time,
Right. They learn from their mistakes.
they learn from their mistakes.
Right.
And so that second marriage, that person reaps the benefit that they learned from
Of the
first
failed marriage.
Right, exactly, exactly. But
Mhm.
if you didn't do the work and you didn't learn and you didn't evaluate
keep
yourself and you
repeating
didn't
yourself.
do the self the self, nurturing and the
Mhm.
self whatever it is, right?
You keep making those same mistakes,
You're
relationship
gonna
after
keep
relationship.
repeating those same relationship mistakes over and over again, and it doesn't matter what relationship you're in. As you
Right.
say, if you keep experiencing the same thing from person to person to person, or job to job to job, or
It's not the job. It's not the person. It's
it's
you.
the one thing that's showing up in all those places.
Yep. Might be you.
It's you.
Yep.
It's you. So
Mhm.
sometimes we have to take a deep dive into ourselves and say, what am I not seeing?
Right.
What am I holding on to? What?
Or I like to say, what am I not learning from these experiences?
Right.
Because these experiences come in our life for us to learn something. If we don't learn them, we keep reliving these experiences.
Learn from them, and apply
Right.
and change what
Exactly.
needs to be changed.
Exactly.
Right? So if you don't get the lesson,
Yep.
you don't get the blessing.
That's right. And
Right.
it's going to constantly repeat itself. It's going to keep showing up over and over and over again.
And so people say, well, you know, a marriage is about a good foundation. What does a good foundation mean?
Well,
Right? What does a good foundation mean? That means that I come into the marriage whole.
yeah, you come in, yeah. Well, you come in
I
there.
was thinking, I would say, I come into the relationship whole, and then you say, I come into the relationship whole.
Well, I was going to say, that's what you were
I
thinking.
guess that's what I was thinking,
Well,
but
no,
I guess he wasn't reading my mind.
No,
this
I
time.
didn't read your
I
mind
guess
that
we
time.
weren't in alignment.
Yep. So you come into the relationship whole, and I'm not looking for you to complete me or finish me off. I'm looking for you to.
You're not looking for me to validate you that you're
Not
a
at
good
all,
husband,
right? I'm
that you're a
coming
good
with
husband, a good provider.
my right. I should be able to come to the table
So it doesn't.
myself.
So if I say, "Wow, you're going to be a good husband, a good provider," that's not enough for you. Like,
No, it should be fine. But
but
I
then
need
if
to
I
be.
turn around in the marriage and I say, "Wow, you're not what I thought you were.
Ooh,
You're not good.
ooh,
You're not a provider."
ooh, you just dropped the bomb. You just gut checked me
But
right
but that's what a good foundation means. It means that you're not looking for me to validate you.
Exactly.
You already know.
there. I need to bring that
what
to the
you have.
table.
Exactly.
That's the foundation.
Exactly.
I need to come on my own set of foundation. I need to set my own foundation. I need to know that one, I'm a good provider. Two, I'm going to love you the way that you need to be loved, and I'm going to take care of you. And I'm just going to be respectful to you and to us as a couple. And if I do that, everything else is like cherry on the top, right? You telling me that, oh, you're a good provider, you're a good man, and all this other. Well, I would hope so. I would hope you would get married to a person that's good to you.
What I'm saying is that sometimes people say that in the beginning,
Yeah,
and then in the marriage,
they
those
say.
words change.
Well, yeah.
And so it makes the person feel inadequate because they're looking for validation in
Right.
the beginning instead of coming into the marriage whole,
Right.
realizing what I bring to the table.
Right.
So people always say, well, what are you bringing to the table? And it's not necessarily material things. It's
Oh,
not
no,
necessarily financial things. It's what are you bringing to the marriage that when we put it together, like this firm foundation and this firm foundation, it's like having a cement foundation and having a sand foundation, right? That's
Right,
what we mean by
right,
what are you
exactly.
bringing to the table,
Right.
right? What are we building our relationship on? So
Right.
a good, healthy relationship, marriage relationship, starts with a good, healthy individual relationship.
And we have to have a good individual relationship. That sand foundation is not going to work. I mean, you maybe start out with sand because that's, you got to build it up and build up your foundation. But by the time you find your mate, you should have worked on yourself enough to have a good foundation.
Healthy you, a good, loving, healthy
Right.
relationship
I don't-
with you.
Right. I need you to help compliment me. I don't need you to complete me. I don't need you to rub me and tell me that you're the greatest person in the world, which doesn't hurt. But I should be able to stand on my own two big spiritual feet anyway and be a man, and she should be a woman. But I should be able to stand.
I don't know what
I
that
should
means.
stand on my own two big strong feet and understand that I have a good solid foundation of who I am, and this is what I bring to the table.
That I'm healthy mentally,
Yes.
physically, emotionally,
Right.
so that when we come together, our relationship is going to be
Start
healthy.
off on some good
Exactly.
footing.
It's going to be healthy mentally, physically, spiritually,
Now-
emotionally. And so that we're not coming into the relationship looking to fix something,
Right.
that we can now build a relationship together. We can now, the two can become one, and we can move forward in alignment of the type of marriage that we want to build together, instead of trying to start from scratch and saying, look, you're not this, you're not that, I'm not this, I'm not
We
that.
got to
or
break you
bringing
down.
in-
We got to fix all this
or
and get rid of something.
bringing in old baggage where you didn't do your own work on
Mm.
yourself, and now you're looking for someone else to build you into what you want to be. We have to, and if we have the opportunity, but the thing is that if we're married and we didn't do that, it's not too late.
Oh, no.
You know, so we can take the individual time, even being married, that we need to build ourselves, right? To do self-improvement, to do
Right.
self-love, to do
Right.
self-reflection, to do what we need to do so that we're healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, so that we can be there for you, and you in turn can do the same thing. So there is no, oh, well, we're married, it's too late. You
No,
know, I
it's
brought
never
all
too
this
late.
baggage in.
Nope.
If we realize and we can see it, and like I said, marriages have to be intentional.
Right.
Right? So we have to be aware and alert of what's going on in our marriage. What part do I play in this? Right? What's going on? Why is it going on? How can we, as we talked about last week, how can we put the issue on the table and resolve it together instead of tearing each other apart? Right? It's
Right.
so
Along with the issue.
Exactly. So it's not too late, even if you're married, to do the self work that you need to do in a relationship, because that, even if you've done it beforehand or you haven't done it, you can still do it. We constantly change, we constantly grow, we're constantly becoming different people because there's always a new season. There's always a new season, right?
Right. Yeah. Like in an hour from now, it's going to be a different season. So
in my 20s, I was different. In my
Yeah.
30s, I was different. In my 40s, I was different.
Mm.
And I'm still in my 30s. So I was just going to assume that in my 40s and 50s,
Yes,
I
you're
would
gonna
be
be
different.
Yep, you're gonna be different. I can almost see into the future. Now we say about the foundation, about you need to come to the relationship with a good, solid foundation. We're not saying that you won't have issues and things to work on. No, that's not what we're saying. We all come with some form of baggage or whatever. But recognize what's going on with you and recognize it with your baggage. Yes, you're going to bring something to the relationship, good, bad, and indifferent. Just be willing to work on that and recognize, yeah, this triggers me. I need to work on that. So now you got a partner.
Why it triggers
And
you.
why it triggers you, right? Yeah, get down to why. This is the foundation we're talking about. We ain't talking about just, some surface stuff that, just, we're just trying to put
We're
something, make
talking
it
about
look pretty.
doing some real work.
Real work,
to
foundation,
get the
right.
relationships that we want.
And now this is individual foundation. We haven't even got to the marital part of the foundation. We're just talking about individually what we need to do
individually, right?
to
So
have a good foundation.
Exactly. So if we're single, we're doing this work, right? We're realizing, we're taking the time to get to know ourselves. It's not about being arrogant. It's not about being conceited. It's not about, I need all these things on my list complete, as we talked about before. If you have a list of what you want in your mate,
Yep.
you have to be equivalent to all those things.
Yeah,
So if you want a
better
mate
be.
that's loving and beautiful and kind and generous,
You
better
better
make
show
sure
up.
you're loving and beautiful and kind and
You
generous.
better show
right?
up like that.
Right. So it means that we're looking at our list and we're mirroring it.
Mhm.
Right? We
Right.
are the mirror of what we want. If not, you're not going to get that. And so therefore, if we're single, that's the work we're doing. That's what we're becoming, that in which we want
seek.
to attract.
That's right.
Right? And
Yeah,
so
Because what you attract, what you think about, what you attract, what you're writing down is what you attract. So you need to be
what
ready.
you're writing down is what you attract.
Yeah, yeah.
What you want to attract.
Well, what you want to attract.
Mhm.
So so as you write it down and you look at these things like, oh, am I loving? Am I caring? Do I, do I get upset easily? So if you do, you
And
need to
even
work on
after
all
we-
those things.
And even after we get married, we probably should revise the list, right? We should still look at it. So
Oh
if
yeah, you
got a
need some
mate-
revisions.
If you got a
be done.
mate that are those things,
Mhm.
and then things like are starting to get a little like, what's going on here?
Yep.
Maybe we need to take our list back out and make a list of all the things that our spouse
I'm
is,
curious.
right? Or as we've done with some of the exercises that we've done with our couples, is that, we write a list of all the things, the qualities that we want our mate to have, right?
Mhm.
And then we say, am I being those qualities? So even if you're married or in a relationship, make that list. Make that list of qualities that you want
Mhm.
in your mate, and then ask yourself, am I being those things that I seek? Am I being those things that I want?
Or am I just being selfish? I just want these things, but I'm not willing to be those things for my mate.
Or are we saying, well, I could be more loving if they were more loving?
Ooh.
Right? So that's what we do. We
no,
put
that's a shaky foundation right
that's
there. That foundation got to fall. Yep.
So that's what we do sometimes. We want the other person to do it first.
Well, that's
Well,
validation.
if they were more, they were more loving, then I would be more loving.
No.
Whoa, hold up,
No,
right?
no.
So we're always looking to the other person to do it first, and then we think we're going to follow suit.
Right.
But what we don't realize is that we are the change we seek.
Yep.
Everything begins and ends with me. I don't need Jason to tell me to be more loving. I don't need him to tell me to be more kind.
Right.
If I can't see it, if when I do something, if I'm not able to say for myself, like, wow, Tina, that wasn't very kind, that wasn't very loving, then that means that I really have a lot of work to do. I
Mm.
really have a lot of self-exploration to seek into, because it's about exploring who you are,
Mhm.
finding out who you are,
Yeah.
correcting the things that you don't like about yourself, not needing someone else to tell you what's good, bad, or indifferent about you, but what you feel, what you know.
But that's only.
We need to know ourselves inside and out.
But that's only if you're being honest with yourself. So
Well, that's the whole point.
that's the whole thing.
What's
I'm
the
saying
point
that's
of
the.
not being honest?
Well, I mean, just like you just mentioned a minute ago, you
Right.
said that you get upset and you go, "Oh, that wasn't really the nice thing to say or the nice way to handle it." But what if I brought it up and said, "Hey, babe, that wasn't really the nice way to, to bring that up. I mean, to say that to me or whatever, how would you react? And I'm
Right.
just using this as an example. But if someone calls you out on your stuff and then you react in a negative way and make the situation worse, but already knew that you shouldn't have reacted that way in the first place. But the
But
fact
that's
that they
ego.
brought it up to
But
you,
that's that ego
Right.
that we talk about.
right? There's another
Getting-
crack in the
take-
foundation, right there.
Exactly. So being able to see
Mhm.
what makes your foundation shaky.
Ego is rough on a
And-
foundation.
and
Chad,
it's-
that's like a jackhammer
it's
to the
such-
foundation.
The one thing about a foundation is that it's 360.
Mhm.
So you can't just look from one view.
Right.
You can't have a 90-degree view. You can't have a 180 view. You have to have a 360 view of the whole entire marriage, the whole entire you. So
Mm.
if you want to evaluate your mate and complain about their 360, then you need to be center stage and explore you and complain about your 360, you,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
We as Jason said, we have to be honest and real about ourselves. And
Mhm.
part of that is, as we talk about marriage, right? Having to have those hard conversations. Sometimes
Yeah.
those conversations are just with you. They're all. Sometimes you just need to sit down and tell yourself what's really going on. Because
Privately, right? You just need to have a private conversation with
or
yourself.
you wait until everybody is gone and you can say it out loud.
Right.
You and yourself and I are
And y'all
all
can-
sitting there having the conversation, and
Me, myself, and I.
that's right. That's right. And you are working on becoming the best version of you. And if you don't know what that looks like, that means that if you're not demonstrating the things that you want your mate to demonstrate, then you're not being the best version of
Right.
yourself.
Don't ask for something and then you're not going to be it. Don't ask for love and don't ask for all this caring and all these other things, and you're not being it. So you
sound
definitely
a little
not gonna-
hostile right there. You
Well,
look a little
I'm just
mean.
saying. Okay, let me say it. Let me say. Let me say it in a more loving way. Don't ask for those things if you're not willing to do them. So just make sure that you're willing to put in the work to be loving and caring and help out around the house or whatever the situation is. Especially with the kids. I mean, as we talk to couples, a big gripe about parenting and relationships is the women burdens all the work when it comes to the children. Majority of the work, I would say. And if that's the case, hey, would you want to have that responsibility all the time? I mean, like you share in everything else. You share in the responsibilities. All right, everybody can chip in. So everybody plays
And
their part.
If you don't mind as a mom, if you don't
Right.
mind, and that's the role that you want to play and you
Right.
want to take on, then that has to be something that, as we talk other episodes,
But it can't
talk
be
about
one, right? But it can't be one
defining
side.
roles,
Right, right.
defining roles, right? But it can't be you're supposed to, or I just kind of got put into that. Now
Right,
I
right.
find myself
Those roles will
doing
get you in
everything,
trouble.
and my mate doesn't help me with anything.
Right.
The thing is that if you're not communicating this and you're not openly and honest about it, then
Mhm.
those things cannot be handled in a civilized manner.
Right. So yeah. So like I said, we're talking about the foundation, this individual foundation. There's plenty of work to go around, but it has to be honest work, right? Honest paid for, honest day's work, right? So that is honest relationship, honest marriage, or honest foundation that you bring to the relationship. So if you're gonna be honest, you bring it. Yeah, okay, yeah, I got some stuff that I need to do. I got some cracks that I need to have fixed or whatever. But I think I'm strong enough to be in this relationship. I'm in a good enough space so I can bring another person in here and we can still grow together, even if we still need to fix some stuff that we need to fix.
And so people may ask, well, where do I start, right? Where do I start? You start with self-evaluation.
Yeah.
That's where you start. You start, and then you start improving those things.
I'm good though, baby. I mean, like, I feel like I'm fine. I'm an adult. I'm working, and I maybe have some money in the bank. I'm good, right? So but it's deeper than that, and you know that them little issues you have with yourself. So you have to
The
dig deep.
issues that you have with other people that may be just
Yeah,
the
'cause if
issues
you
that
find
really
out
have
that-
with yourself.
Yeah, if you find out you can't get along with a lot of people, it may not be you. I'm sorry, it's definitely you.
So this episode is mainly about having a good foundation, whether you're single or married,
Mhm.
and understanding what a good foundation means.
Right,
It doesn't mean that we both love each other, because love can only carry us so far.
right.
It means that we are healthy and sound as an individual, so
Mm.
that we can be healthy and sound in our relationship.
That's right.
And then we can withstand together the things that will test our relationship and not wonder, right? How do we get through this? Or let things tear us apart because we didn't let the storms of life break down our relationship and our foundation because it wasn't strong to begin with.
Right. If you're building this marriage, this household of marriage on top of this foundation, it has to be strong. I mean, because the storm's going to come that you have to deal with in life. Life's just going to throw a whole bunch of stuff at you. And you just have to be able to deal with it as it comes up. And like we said, if you build a strong foundation, then you can withstand a lot of those things that come to you.
And sometimes the storms are not even big storms. They're just mild rainstorms. But if you don't have that foundation,
but if you need a new roof,
you just wash away. You'll just wash away. So you have to understand. We go, well, when people say storms, they think of like something really
major storm, right?
Let me tell you something. It can be as simple as somebody not washing the dishes, and that can create a tornado in the house.
Yeah, it could.
Right?
Yeah.
So a storm and issues and problems mean that you now have two individual separate people with their own identity becoming one. And even if you're already married, you're still trying to navigate those waters of what's my place? What's his place? What do we do together? How do we resolve this issue? Whether it's finance, whether it's sex, whether it's intimacy, whether it's kids, whether it's work, whatever it is, there's going to always be something or someone that's going to be an issue. Yep. And you have to ask yourself, where am I? Am I mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally strong enough where I can support my mate? And when I need that support, he's those things for me. Hey. So that is what a good foundation is all about, because as Jason said, we're going to have storms, and don't think that the storms are going to be the really big, Hurricane Katrina.
Nope.
No, it could be those little tidal waves.
Just a little windstorm.
That can just wash your whole little house away.
And we've all probably
wow,
been.
and then you may look back and go, wow, I can't believe that we broke up over something like that, or we divorced over something like that. It's not being able to handle it because you haven't done the work on yourself. You haven't matured into the person that you need to be for that relationship.
Yep. So, withstanding that you are with the right person, the person that you need to be with, right? If you pick correctly and you're with the person that you need to be with and you're doing the work, you can withstand a lot of those storms. But we're saying that you've already picked the right person and you're very compatible with each other and you're working on stuff together. So then when that storm come, or windstorm or whatever, we've been in those little silly arguments before over something that don't really make any sense. Yeah. Come to find out you're mad at something else, and then you say something.
Yeah, you do that a lot.
Okay. Well, I'm preaching to me right now.
Okay.
So
or we are upset and irritated by something at work.
And then
by something that happened before the person even came home.
Right.
We're irritated and frustrated.
So we got caught in that windstorm outside.
Exactly. We're irritated and frustrated with something else. Something that's going on with us. And because those people who are closest to us, they step right into the storm and we just let them have it.
Yep.
Not because we want to, because we feel most comfortable. So we let out all of those storms instead of understanding, hey, I'm going through something. Can you help me? Can you help me weather this storm instead of bringing me into the storm with you? Right?
Yeah, because you walk into it and you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't even know how we got here and what's going on.
So it just becomes a big argument over what is this argument about in the first place?
Yep. And somebody just needs to step back, because it does hurt if someone brings you into a storm and you wasn't ready for it. Like someone should say, I didn't pack my bags to go on this trip with you. I think Blanche said that, and I think that's true, right? I'm not ready to take this trip with you, right? I'm still here, loving you. I'm happy and everything, and then you're on another page.
I'm doing my self work, and then I
walk into this tsunami, right? And it's like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Okay, so I need to stay calm. I need to stay cool. Okay, look, we need to navigate through this whole storm. And I still have to love you in the same breath.
So we want marriages, we want happy marriages, but the truth is we have to understand how to navigate the storms of life to get the happy marriage, because we're all individuals. We're all living on this earth in this human experience. And so we have to be able to do our own self-work and our own self-development in order to make it better as a relationship.
And that's why people always say, well, how does how does your relationship flourish and be so good and all this other stuff? Because we've done a lot of self work. We work on our relationship, and we also worked on each other. So that makes that that makes it so much easier. I know who I am.
Individually on ourselves.
Yeah, individually on
that's what he
ourselves.
meant,
Yeah, I
on
said
each
individual.
other.
Okay,
You
yeah,
know,
and so we worked
I
on
know
our
what you meant.
marriage and individually, right?
Yes.
So it only helps us, because now the foundation is so much stronger. Me individually, me as a husband, us together. So I mean, yeah, it just helps. I mean, sometimes like when my stuff ain't right, I know that's a personal thing that I need to work on. It's not a marital thing. It's not a married Jason. It's a single Jason over here. You need to tighten up on some things, and I may need help, and I may have to recruit Tina. Look, I may be struggling with this, maybe professionally or whatever. Maybe I'm just going through something. I need a little help. So then she can understand, and she don't have to get caught up in a storm that she has nothing to do with per se, right? I'm just dragging her into it. So understand that if it's an individual thing that you need to kind of sort out with the help of your spouse, or is it a marital thing that you guys need to sit down and work out right together?
And the thing is that we have to be able to understand it's not what happens to us, but how we react.
Oh, reaction
right?
is the thing.
It's not what's going on outside of us, but what's going on inside of us. How do we handle this in the most constructive way so that we're building our marriage and not tearing down our marriage? Because you can have a marriage where not only is the foundation shaky, but the building is shaky also. So
everything on that thing is shaky, right?
So the building itself, as you're in there, you're tearing it down wall by wall. And that's not the type of relationships that we want. And so even though these are analogies, we hope that you understand what that means. That means that I'm going to go in my room, and you're going to go in your room, and we're going to do individual self-work, and then we're going to work on those main areas together, which means that I'm working on me, you're working on you, and we're working on our marriage consecutively, right? I mean, simultaneously. Right?
Oh, you kind of scared me. It's like you go in your room, I go in my room. I'm like, okay, this is where we're at.
I mean, as an individual, I'm working on my own stuff, and individually, you're working on your own stuff. But collectively, we're working on our marriage together because we know what we want in our marriage, and so therefore, we have to do the work in order to have those things. It's just not going to happen, right?
It's not. It's not going to be. You're not going to. You're not going to
worth
wave a
having
magical
is
wand.
Anything worth having is worth working for.
Oh, yeah,
you're going to have
sure.
to do the work, or you're not going to reap the rewards, and that's what it's all about. You have to put something in order to get something out.
Yeah.
So we don't come, unfortunately, life situations and circumstances, they twist and turn us, and we become a product of our environment, a product of our experiences. And if we can't decipher what experiences are good and what experiences, excuse me, are not for our highest good, that may be negative, that we don't need to carry into the next relationship, then that's the work we need to do. So we have to be able to understand and spot those things that we don't want in our relationship and build the type of relationship that we want. As we always point to our signs behind us, right?
Yep.
It says a happy marriage is something that we make.
Not something that just happen.
It does not just, if you sit around and do nothing, you're going to have nothing.
Oh, you're going to have something. You're going to have an out of control situation. Yep. You can definitely, because I'm going to tell you.
You're going to have a marriage that you don't want.
Exactly, because just like you can tend to your lawn. And
or your crop. I was thinking of a crop, right?
And you can cut the grass. You cannot feed it. You cannot water it. But I guarantee you, weeds are going to come in and take over that thing without you doing anything but
You're
cutting
not gonna have a
the bare minimum. Yeah, you're going to have some weeds in that thing, right? So it's just like anything else. So you just have to continue to work and cultivate and maintain and grow.
And jump
the marriage.
Back in
love.
Driver's seat.
Oh, I was going to say
love. It's all off of jump back in the driver's seat. Because we're taking our marriages
off of cruise
control. And
That's
in order
right.
to do that, to take it off cruise control, that means that you have to be actively
driving
it.
Right. Not just passively driving.
Not just passively driving. Not just hoping that it goes.
Oh, I just need to get to somewhere and, eventually we'll get there if we just keep driving around. Nope. We know exactly where we want to go. So the most important thing and the most important takeaway here is to work on your foundation individually. And then you can also work on it together. But the most important thing is individually to see where you are. Take a evaluation of yourself, see where you are and see what you need to work on. But
And
this is
continually.
honest evaluation. I mean, call yourself out on the stuff that you need to be called out on.
And it's continually.
Mhm.
It's not a one-time thing. It's not, oh, I did that in my 20s. I did that at the beginning of the relationship.
Right.
If you want a relationship and you want if you want a certain type of marriage, that means this work has to continually happen. Just like you can't clean your house one day and it's just gonna stay clean
Oh man, I
magically
wish
for
so.
the rest of your
I
life.
wish so,
Right?
but that doesn't happen.
Right. So it's the same thing with marriages. We have to understand, we have to get the right mindset when it comes to relationship and marriages, is that it's not a one-time fix all. It's a continued gradual progression. Progress is good. So when we understand the things that we need to do and we do them and we apply them, then we can have the type of marriages that we want and that we deserve.
I love being happy. I'm gonna tell you, it's nothing like being happy in a relationship and love the person you with. I'm telling you.
Love the one you with.
Yeah, that sounds like some words there.
All right, so I think that's it. I
Yeah,
think
that we
definitely
gave a
need to-
takeaway, right? Work on your stuff, work on your foundation. You know what you need to work on.
a good, healthy, strong
Marriage.
foundation and marriage starts with a good, healthy, strong individual.
Yep. So that's,
Two healthy, strong individuals coming together to build one healthy, strong relationship.
and that's how you get a strong marriage and a strong foundation. And then we can work on communication and all other stuff. But right now, you have to have good footing. And now we just set you up for some great footing, and you should be on your way.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up another episode. And so, one of the things we can tell you is that, our course continually helps people to work on themselves. We continually work on ourselves.
Yes.
So, let's start building and having the relationships that we want, because it begins and ends with me. All right.
100%.
All right. Well,
It begins and ends with you. That's right.
any other last words?
Nope. Just go
Crazy
out, work.
man.
Just go out and work on yourself. Build yourself up. Find out what's wrong.
He says
work on
no, and then he keeps talking.
Yep.
Any other words?
I know, right?
No?
No, I ain't got no more other words, but I do have another thought.
Okay. All right, what's that?
Work on yourself. Work on your shortcomings. All right, because that's what's going to show you to be, the person that you really want to be through your shortcomings. If you can fix your shortcomings, it just makes you a better person, right? So that's going to solidify your foundation, your foundation.
All right. Well,
All
that
right.
wraps up another episode for Jason and I.
Yep.
And as always,
We're in it to win it.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Lovin' Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship, or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.